Hello and welcome to Forge TV's SU election debate.
My name's Sam Ray.
Aaron Kolakovic.
Sam Negus.
David Nudge.
Charlie Wren.
Becca Barnes.
Marie Allen.
Paul.
Jorge Valencia.
Swan Whitewood.
Alex.
I'm Inshore.
I want to make sure that...
Welcome back to Forge TV, and now finally it's the candidates for the role of Union President. We've got Olly Clay and Ali Buckle here. First, to begin, I just want you to say why you want to run for the role of President. Ali, start with you.
Hi, my name's Ali Buckle. I want to run for President. I've worked in the union for 2 years now. I really love the place, One Students' Union Council. It is the best union in the country, there's no doubting that, but I still think we can improve it further. And I think it's become quite a pertinent issue with students, with the amount of fees they're paying now, to get as much value out of their degree as they can, and I think we at the Students' Union can offer that.
Cool. Yep, I'm Olly Clay, you said already. I'm running because, as Ali said, we have the best union in the country, but there's lots of simple things around union that could be far better, just make it easier to study late at night, for example. Also, I think we should far more active in the community around the city, and also taking a very strong stance in protecting, standing up for social justice around the city, and particularly disadvantaged communities in general.
Okay. Now, you've both got some interesting policies, and I want to get onto them in a minute, but we'll start with quite a general question first, which is your vision for the Students' Union next year if you are to be elected. We'll start with Olly this time.
Okay. Next year, I'd like to have a far more, if I could look back at sort of June, July, and see the biggest thing I could have accomplished, it'd be probably breaking down the segregation that can occur in the first month or two of freshers, for someone's freshers year, where you can split quite quickly into different national groups around campus, and it sort of seems a very sort of negative thing that you can come to a university in your city and straight away be broken up back into your individual groups. So I think societies and departments to reach out far more to include international students and provide much more socials for home students, so you can actually build the bridges that we have at university.
Well, my vision for the university, for the union going forward is, to be honest, the University House is reopening, so I think it should become a much greater hub of activity. There's going to be new outlets opening. I want to get more people into the union, people that don't normally spend much time in here. I want there to be a lot more going on. I want to kind of break down some of the rules that we have in the union. I want the place to be almost scruffed up a bit, with a lot more art around the place, a lot more culture going on, a lot more live events, more informal ones than we have. And I want the Students' Union to really be there to support students and help them, get everything they can out of university.
Okay. Now, Olly, one of your big policies is microwaves
Yes.
in the Information Commons, which is the library. Do you really think this is going to work? I mean, there's a CAF in the library which is owned by the company who owns the IC. Yep. Obviously, if you take microwaves into the IC, less people may be inclined to use the CAF, they'd lose profit. And also, do you think it will work, and where would these microwaves go?
Like I said, they were going probably in the IC cafe along the wall, sort of where all the seats are. I think it's firstly it'd be very easy, very convenient for students. Lots of students on the campaign trail. As a councillor, this comes up over and over again. The prices in the cafe are very expensive, particularly compared to restaurants around the city. Sainsbury's down the corner, and it feels like students get taken advantage of if they're trying to work late in the night, trying to do the right thing. Essays, exams, deadlines coming up, and I think it asks a question to the university: are you willing to prioritise the issues of students and services you provide to students, or the profits of a private company?
But do you think they are actually possible, though? Do you think the IC would actually allow this?
I see no reason why you really can't. Six form colleges have cafes and they have microwaves. We all have them at home, so health and safety stuff we've been told in council is nonsense, to be honest. And St George's Library also has microwaves, so we have them in other libraries. Six forms have them, and they have other private food facilities, so definitely achievable.
Okay. Ali, one of your big sort of campaign pledges
Yep.
is to continue to lobby the government over unacceptable fees.
Mm-hmm.
A good idea in principle, but do you really think this can work? Can you make much influence?
It's a very good question. I think that the fees, as they've risen, have been unacceptable, and I obviously do understand that all three main political parties have said that they will not reduce the fees. What I'm concerned with is continuing to keep the fees at the same level, and to really stand up, because I believe that universities should be accessible to everyone, and I think any Students' Union president should pledge to continue to fight the fees, because I think that is the main issue at the moment.
Is it a fight you think you can win?
Look, well, like I just said, I don't think they can be reduced necessarily, but I think by continuing to let the government know that we're not happy about the fees, then they won't think of bringing in any more increases in the near future. and hopefully, you know, people will be able to work with the system we've got, and you know, it will allow people to still come into university. But I mean, a caveat onto that is that I do understand that it's, you know, it's unlikely that they'd be reduced, and I actually think that it's you know, it's very important that we do go out to schools, because, you know, I'm fed up of hearing students continue to say that people will find university education unaffordable, because I'm worried that sixth form students are listening to this and will make a decision based on what they hear people that are already at university saying. So I think you need to continue to fight the fees on one hand, but on the other hand you need to encourage people to go to university if it's right for them, because you can get so much out of it.
Okay, moving on to the issue of houses now. I know, Ollie, you've pledged to sort of create a Match.com service for finding housemates. How exactly would this work?
It would work very much like the standard dating websites it's modelled off, whereby in first year lots of universities have like a sort of a simple sort of set of questions that match you far more precisely with people you'd actually enjoy living with in first year, so you can avoid the massive personality clashes that can occur. Also for second and third years and fourth years and postgrads and master students, if you are looking for someone to live next year, maybe come back from a year abroad, you can, or any sort of housing issue, you can just ask a simple sort of personality question, sort of what you're looking for out of a housemate, and out of that database you can sort of find other people looking for housemates or with spare rooms, and you match far more closely to people that actually you'd enjoy living with, rather than you could hate them for a year.
Mm-hmm. One thing people have said to me about that is that often with Match.com in terms of dating, it doesn't always work out to plan. Would you have anything to say if it was for a housing system?
Well, obviously, like, no system is 100% perfect,
Mm-hmm.
but it would be far better than the current system whereby you just take your chances. Or like the union has a few services whereby you meet someone for a 5-minute chat over a cup of coffee, and if you actually have a list of questions and a way of matching people together, it'd be far more precise. Obviously, it's not going to be perfect, it's not going to be 100% in all cases, but it'd be far better than what we have at the moment.
Okay. Ali, you're pledging to take on landlords over shoddy housing and unacceptable charges.
Yep.
How would you go about doing this one?
Well, I mean, I think it says it says where I've expanded upon my points, that I want to create an approved list of landlords based on student feedback from their experiences with landlords, that we can distribute to students at the beginning of the year to help them make a better informed decision on which landlords to live with. Some things that I've been talking about people since I've been campaigning have been kind of almost like a TripAdvisor style website for landlords. I mean, obviously, you'd have to kind of moderate comments on it to make sure that they weren't libelous or anything like that. You'd have to make sure that they were truthful comments. But I think it would really help people deal with bad landlords, because I know in my experiences of being here at the university that I've had essentially 3 lots of bad landlords. I've had ACS who see you as a walking paycheck and will take your deposit money as freely as they like because they know they own a monopoly on first year accommodation.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've had lazy private landlords who again know that they've got an ever-flowing market and don't see us students collectivising together to fight them over the way they treat us.
Do you think like word of mouth is a good enough recommendation for a suitable landlord?
I think it is, but I mean, how much do you think people talk between year groups? How much do you think a third year now is going to tell a first year about what to do? I don't know. I think you know, part of the role of the Student Advice Centre should really be to distribute information about good landlords and tell them, you know, who is good, and hopefully landlords will take note of this. And if they weren't regarded as good, then I'm sure they would do a lot to be regarded as good.
Okay, a question to both of you now. What do you think the current student union is doing badly, and what would you do to improve this?
I think we could be doing we could be lobbying management, lobbying the city far better to provide more services for students, particularly more active involvement in the community. There are a few existing schemes where I think like the English department, the history department, and philosophy have very good sort of teaching out schemes, whereby students here come and sort of. But it's great from having a CV. It's fantastic for the kids, and I think we could have that far more expanded so that we break down this divide between the city and university. Because like we have an amazing city outside, and most students come here because they like Sheffield, they like the surrounding environment, and so we could reach out far more into the city and actually become more inclusive of city students, of international students, of like Hallam, the FE colleges, and normal people in the city as well.
Okay.
I do really hate to go down the same route, but again, for me, it is community. I want to, you know, encourage people from the community to come to the university. Businesses like Film Unit, they all have an almost exclusively university student-based viewing, you know, people that come along and see their films. So I'd quite like to see members of the public actually coming along. I know with societies, a big issue is getting members of the public involved, because whenever they're booking out university buildings, then the university is trying to impose a charge on them if they want a member of the public to attend. So again, I think kind of, as Ollie said, in fairness, breaking down the barriers with the community and just, you know, allowing them in and allowing them to have free reign, because it is important. Because, you know, I know a lot of residents around here don't look at students with the best view, and actually I think if they came and integrated with us and we allowed them to integrate with us, then I think, you know, relationships would be a lot better.
Okay, now our current president, Abdi, you're both looking to get his job. What do you think he's done good this year or bad, and what could you build on from the work that he has done? I'll go to Ali first this time.
I think Abdi has done really well to, he's presented a very kind of ideological movement about what education should be like, and I really respect that. Yeah, and I mean, I think that he has done really well to run the Reclaim Your Education campaign and talk to students about the importance of education. But, you know, maybe a few more kind of practical things to come with that, maybe a bit more focus on the practicalities of what students can get out of their degree, how they actually get the value from those £9,000 fees, as alongside the ideological side of it.
Okay, don't forget, if you're watching at home, by the way, you can tweet in with any questions for potentially the future president. #SUVote is the hashtag you need to ask some questions. Same question to you about Abdi.
I think Abdi's done a lot of good work, particularly in the NUS, representing student views here and pushing the NUS line on postgrads and international students. Like, there was an issue over when Syria blew up, and it was very strong action by our union. Abdi led it. I think Sarah, Richard, the other officers had a lot to do with it as well, whereby 6 Syrian students here, they've made the university management cover their fees, so they didn't have to go back to Syria, they didn't have any visa problems. Brilliant work by the union. I think that's something that Abdi did very well. Also, I think the things he could do better are communicating a message to the students, and much more practical, like Ali said, approach to the student body. It's like meeting more societies, having more active and interested involvement of the union, and bringing more students particularly into the union politics. So it's not like, I feel like we're both on council, so it's not like a few councillors or like a few very interested people, but we have a union that actually everyone has a much wider involvement in.
Okay, so there's just 2 of you running for president this year. Now, what has inspired you to run for president over other positions? Is it just for the title? What is it that's made you go for president? I'll go for Ali this time first.
Well, I mean, I want to be the spokesperson for our students, and I really feel I very broadly represent students. I mean, you know, I know a lot of different people with different interests and different reasons for being at the union. I work here, you know, I want to look after the staff here as well as the students. And, you know, I really want to be there to facilitate what students want to do in our union. And actually, I also want to put a great importance of working with the other officers, not necessarily being the leader of them, being the person that helps them out with the things they're interested in doing, you know, a helping hand for everyone, essentially.
Okay, Ollie?
Well, I think the role of president is more to set sort of the narrative of the way the union goes. Something like the vision is sort of have a far more inclusive and democratic union, so you can meet far more students and far more campaigning societies or national societies. And that's why I want to run for president, because I think there's many things we can improve on in the student union, and the other officer teams have very precise constituencies, and I like to set the wider agenda of more integration, more active campaigning against fees and cuts, and also bring more societies into, and more people and more departments into actually having involvement in the union.
Okay. Now, you often hear a lot of students saying that they don't actually know what the union offices do.
Yeah.
Some that don't even know that it exists, so they're probably not watching this. But how would you tackle this problem? How would you make people more aware of you? How would you get your name out there? What?
I think, like, obviously, we've, as council, both experienced the same problem, like the apathy, the difficulties getting students interested. But that's a large part to do with the inability of the officers to either communicate what we actually do properly, or do things that students are interested in. Wow. So we can't sort of blame students, like, obviously we can blame students a little bit, but we have to actually put the onus on ourselves to show students it's worth getting involved in the union, it's worth getting involved in sort of what we do around here, and that the officers are doing good things, like maybe advertising the fact that we secured £200,000 worth of bursaries for poor students in the last year, that we protected six Syrian students from being deported, that we are actively campaigning in the NUS against fees, that we can produce a union that is far more representative for students, and it's our responsibility to show students that the good stuff that we do.
And how would you get those pledges out there?
Well, one of my policies is to try and meet with as many, hopefully all, campaigning societies, national societies, departmental societies, activities and sports clubs in the first couple of months of term. So we actually deliberately involve students in the way the union sets its policies. So it's not us 8 of us sitting in a room over the summer, but we actually go out and deliberately talk to as many students as possible constantly, ask them on their ideas. Like during the campaign, it's a brilliant time during the campaigns because we actually go and talk to as many people as possible around the union. And I want to continue that if I'm elected. Like I've had sort of a few ideas, like suggestions of having lights behind the Hicks building between the women's bus and the IC, having like parking tickets reduced in sort of Ranmore. So we need to actually start talking to students and get out of the offices and actually going around the union, the buildings, the Endcliffe Ranmore flats.
Okay. Olly, same to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously a lot of practical work, and if you do practical work that will work to their advantages, then I think they really will take heed of what you're doing. So certainly really tackling housing and, you know, letting them watch the standards of housing raise up will get a lot of students, because everyone's interested in housing and everyone's interested in the quality of their housing. So I think that will really, you know, allow students to notice what we're doing. You know, practical work, being out there, talking to students, letting every student know that your door is always open to any of them, you know, regardless whether they're part of a society. You know, every single student should have access to the offices, and you know, I'll be out there to talk to all of them.
Okay. As usual, a referendum is being held on our affiliation to the NUS. Do you think it's important that we are a member of the NUS, and why? Olly, to you this time. Don't forget you can chip in if you've different opinions.
Yeah, I think it is important that we're members of the NUS. The NUS provide a lot of support for students' unions. They play an important role in student politics.
Okay.
Well,
Olly,
there's some good things about the NUS and some bad things. I think we should maintain our membership because it's better to be inside the organisation pushing it on particular issues that are important to students here, rather than sort of stepping away and then having a lot less power to change the direction of the NUS. There's also some benefits, like the buying company in the NUS drives down prices we can offer in the shops and the bars and the food places. I'd also...
Okay. Would you want to continue to rally students against the Lib Dems, or do you think we have to move on and choose different ways of helping students? I know the officers this year got an £80 cutout of Nick Clegg to help rally against the Lib Dems. Would you be keen to continue that?
I think we're in a particular, like, this is Clegg constituency, so we have a particular sort of position in the Lib Dems, but it's not just the Lib Dems that betrayed students. It's not just the Lib Dems like have lied to us in Parliament. It's every single political party, Labour, the Tories, Lib Dems and others, who constantly go behind our backs. We elect them once every 4 or 5 years and then we have no accountability. So all the students, all the student unions, is to work with other groups in society, actually push MPs to have a much more accountable, much more democratic way. For example, a right to recall campaign, so we can actually pull back our elected representatives. So, for example, if the Lib Dems do lie to us again, we can have a list of signatures, 10% of people maybe, and hold them to account in between elections.
Okay. Olly?
Yeah, I mean, I think, isn't it Paul Blomfeld's constituency?
We're in Clegg's, Blumford, which is like just down the road.
Oh right, okay, fair enough. Anyway, yeah, I think obviously the cardboard cutout of Nick Clegg was a bit of a gimmick, bit of a waste of money. I think it is important to let him know that what he's done to students is unfair. But you know, on top of that, I think he has been used as a scapegoat quite a lot. And you know,
what do you mean by that? He's been used as a scapegoat?
Well, I mean, the Conservatives brought forward the measures for the 9 grand fees. Nick Clegg wanted power. He went along with them. I mean, fair enough. He's let down students. He made a promise that he would fight the fees, and he did go back on that. So I think it is important to let him know that we're not happy anymore. But like I said, I think it's about time we started moving on a little bit from just fighting the fees, and I think we need to now look at how we can work with the fees. Okay.
Well, with the fees now at 9 grand. How would you, as union president, help to make university more accessible to people from disadvantaged backgrounds?
Well, obviously, there's a few sort of things going through Parliament at the moment, particularly international students and postgrads. We are actually policies that can be won and changed to make them advantageous to students. I'd expand mentoring schemes to show, like, in the community that university is a place that you can go even despite the fees. But we have to have more of a, I said earlier that we'd won £200,000 for bursary support. And I'd like to push that far more, particularly for sort of students from poor backgrounds. And the role of the union is to provide that sort of voice for students who are particularly poor or from sort of communities that don't necessarily go to university often.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, one of my policies is obviously working with the local community. I want to send students here, hopefully, willing students that will go and talk to local sixth form colleges and explain to students there that if it's right for them, that there should be no barrier to university education. I mean, the fees you get a loan for, I think it's just going out there and telling students that it is worthwhile coming to university.
Okay, unfortunately time is almost up, so I just want you to sum up what you actually want to change and achieve if you were to become union president. Ollie, do you want to take the stage first?
Simple things, micros in IC, match.com, and offering a much wider variety of socials for departments, but also having pushing it to more inclusive. We break our barriers in the community. We give the opportunity to much more kids in schools and students here to go out and enjoy mentoring schemes, and also lobbying the NUS and government to have much more socially just way of viewing society instead of this coalition of cuts and the devastation that can be wreaked on poor communities.
Okay, and Ali, finally to sum up.
Yeah, no, I want to help students get value out of their degrees, so within that, things like housing, career prospects, stuff like that, all fall within that remit. And as well, I want to make the union a bit more of a vibrant, more diverse place, so hence the emphasis on art.
Okay, well, that's very good to hear from you, some very good points raised. Voting opens on Monday in the student union officer elections. Thanks very much for watching Forge TV. Goodbye.